the third zenith after this one can be... What was that? How did I even do that? That was like the perfect pop sound effect that I use for videos. Ladies and gentlemen, our plan has miserably failed. Still more than 1 day left, and people are already at almost 40 million power for this zenith of power. Well, of course, like, that was kind of expected. I was a little bit too naive to think that I might have a chance for this zenith. As you can see, cavalry health 15% is just an insane city skin, and you know, our mid to long term goal for our main account is transitioning it into a cavalry main, and this city skin would have been just superb, probably the best one hands down. However, as I said, people are already at almost 40 million, still more than 1 day left. What I did was I counted my speed ups, and on paper I thought, okay, I have so many speed ups, right? But in reality I just didn't have enough. When we add all these universal speed ups and a little bit of training speed ups, I have around 900 to 1000 days, so definitely more than 2 years, but unfortunately it's just not enough. I think to get a top 10 in a zenith of power like this, you need at least probably double that amount. So if you guys remember from the last video, our main goal was training a lot of troops so that we can fight, because we recently got zeroed and we don't have enough troops to fight with all our marches. And in the meantime, that would have been a win-win. We could have pushed for zenith of power, and on top of that, we could have pushed for, there we go, from the ground up, even for more sculptures. But obviously we cannot, because our speed ups, even if our resources are enough, which I don't even know if that's enough, because when I calculated my speed ups, I was devastated. I definitely didn't have enough. Let me give you guys a super useful tip for zenith of power. If one day, or this also goes for MGE if I'm not mistaken, but if one day you decide to push for a zenith of power, the thing is, in zenith of power, what you need to do is just one thing: upgrade your power. Simple as that. However, let's say you already have a max account, so all your buildings are maxed, all your technology is maxed. The only thing you can do to power up is train troops, because in the event rules it says increase your power not counting commander power and equipment power to earn equivalent number of points. This means the only thing you can do if you have a max account already is training troops. But the key here is, what is more ideal? Training tier 5s or upgrading your tier 4s to tier 5s? The short answer is upgrading your tier 4. But let's see if the difference is actually significant or not, because in my opinion it really is. That's why I keep saying that on my previous videos. In downtimes, I mean, unless you need for some reason like train tier 5s, just keep training tier 4s. Now, let me speed this up real quick. Now on the top left, you can see we have a 10% kingdom training buff. And on top of that, I have a Rune of Wardroom 5, which gives you another 15% training speed. Now, with these buffs, I don't have Duke, by the way. With these buffs, if I train a tier 5 troop, like straight up 2000 tier 5, it will take 1 day plus 13 hours, which is 24 plus 13 hours for me to train that tier 5. But if I upgrade my existing tier 4s to tier 5s, it only takes 12.5 hours. So if we do the basic percentage calculation, what's wrong with my camera? I just realized that my camera is just too wide. What is that?
One eternity later.
Okay, much better now. That was weird. The result is going to be around 66%. So upgrading your tier 4s to tier 5s instead of just training tier 5 straight is faster. However, point-wise, straight up training 2000 tier 5 units is going to give you 20,000 zenith of power points. However, if you're upgrading your tier 4s to tier 5s, this time it will give you 12,000 points. So the thing is, upgrading your T4 to T5 is going to give you 60% power, but for speed up wise, it is 66% cheaper. And when you are training thousands or even millions of troops for a zenith of power push, that 6% difference is actually going to be massive for you. So let's say you saved up 2000 days worth of speed ups, and that 2000 days is going to be equal 48,000 hours. And let's say with all that speed ups, we are going to train only tier 5s, like straight up training tier 5s, which takes 37 hours. This means we are going to be able to do this training 1200 and almost 97 times. And if we multiply this number with 20,000 points, because that is the point that we get for each time we train tier 5 units, it will equal 26 million power. Oh my god, even that is not going to be enough for top 10. Damn. I'm going to put it right here so that we don't forget it. 26 million power. Now, instead of doing that with the same amount of speed ups, which was 2,000 days, also 48,000 hours, if we upgrade tier 4s to tier 5s and divide 46,000 to 12.5, which is actually worse than it really is, I'm adding extra 10 minutes for every single time, which is going to like pile up like insanely. But even with that, you're going to see a massive difference, right? Now we are going to divide it to 12.5, and the result is going to be 3,840. And now if we multiply this with 12,000, which is the number of points you get every single time you upgrade 2,000 tier 4s to tier 5s in Zenith of Power, and now look at this result. It is more than 46 million. And if we just add these little 10 minutes that we just calculated for the worst value, you'll probably get around 50 million power compared to 26 million. But of course, there is a downside, and the downside is, first, you need to have all those tier 4 troops to be able to upgrade them in the first place, and this will make you vulnerable for if your city gets rallied. Of course, you want to have T5s if you're going to try to defend your city. So most of the time, you will be stuck with tier 4s. And the second thing is, you are not actually having mathematically more troops. You are just upgrading the power of your troops. So your city, your marches, or whatever, you won't be able to send more troops to rallies or garrisons. You're just going to be able to send better troops, which is a big downside in my opinion. But the difference is like almost double the value, right? That little 6%, I told you, that little 6% value difference adds up pretty massively. And in my opinion, if you're going to go for a push like that for a Zenith of Power, I think that is what you should do. Just train T4s all the time, unless for some reason you need to train T5 specifically. And then what you can do is use all those tier 4s and upgrade them to tier 5s in a Zenith of Power. For me, I probably won't be able to play a Zenith of Power at least for 1 more year. And the reason is, like, it is a 15% cav skin. So for me to play, for me to push for a Zenith of Power, I needed this exact skin, right? So I need to wait for this exact stats again. Cavalry health, extra 15%. I wouldn't even push for a cav defense 15% because I think cav health is not just cav health. I'm simply a huge fan of HP stat in Rise of Kingdoms or in any game that I play pretty much. So yeah, I would have to wait for another cavalry health 15% city skin, and it will probably take a year. Like, they're going to roll an infantry city skin, they're going to roll an archer city skin, and then maybe cavalry, and probably the third Zenith after this one can be... What was that? How did I even do that? That was like the perfect pop sound effect that I use for videos. Yeah, so long story short, I will need to wait for so many Zenith of Powers to get that city skin for the next time, and by that time maybe we could have a city skin that is just good enough. For example, maybe a cavalry 10% from a certain event, and I would say, okay, that's good enough for me. I will never ever go for a 15% one and a Zenith of Power. But I'm not that upset actually. And the reason is, in this first zone in Lucerne, we are squeezing our opponent pretty substantially. So we are attacking this fort right now, and it will probably go down pretty soon. As you can see, they cannot, unfortunately, they cannot fight back, and they just need to retreat pretty much all the time. Yeah, we can safely say that we covered this zone, we finished this zone, and I will have a little bit of extra time to just, you know, train my troops and get my marches ready for the next zone. And in the next zone, I will fight with whatever I have. Make sure to subscribe for future videos if you guys don't want to miss that. And I see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.